Okay, so next thing that we need to do is gonna be this part of the armor. And before we do that, I want to kind of scale this side. I feel it's a little small. Something like that would be fine. And another thing is we could add a shade smooth to this. Right click, shade smooth. That way it's smoother. And what I want to do is I want to make sure that the border, the frame for each of the armor that I make is roughly as thick as this here. Maybe some parts are going to be thicker, like maybe the part of the armor that's going to be on the lower arm is going to have a little thicker frame. But for the most part, it's going to be something like this. So what I want to do is I want to make a copy of this, and so I could use it as a reference. I'm going to select this and select the empty object that comes with it. Make sure you do that. Shift D to just do that, and Shift H to isolate, and select this, and I'm just gonna move this up. Alt H to show everything again. Alright, and I'm gonna go and rotate this and rotate here. Okay, I'm gonna go move that up, rotate a bit like that. So this is gonna be as a reference. Rotate it this way. And I also wanna go rotate here, gonna straighten things out. And I'm gonna remove the simple deform so we get more accurate presentation of how thick it's gonna be. Okay. Now we could create a brand new plane, and gonna go ahead and move that up, and gonna rotate this 90 degrees and scale this down. So we are going to create the next armor the same way that we have created this, but it's just going to be slightly of a different shape, but it's going to be the same process, guys. You know, we're going to be using some plane modeling. We're going to use the bend modifier, and we're going to add like an empty object here as before. If you feel like you already understand how to do it, you understand how to make this and to apply the concept that you have learned from creating this armor to creating the next armor, then feel free to skip this video, guys. But if you feel like you need more practice, because maybe you don't really understand the concept, then yeah, feel free to just watch again. So I'm gonna be like this. Maybe I do want it to be just a tad bit thicker, something like that. Alright. And I'm just gonna go ahead and move this up. Alright. Okay, and I'm going to hit the tab key and go into vertex, select vertices here. And just gonna move this way, and there you go. And then I'm gonna go select this here and just extrude that. I'm gonna rotate this. Scale down a bit. There you go. And extrude. Okay, I want to extrude this edge. And rotate. Maybe something like this. Maybe too high. Rotate and scale it up a bit. And then extrude. Rotate. Scale it down. And extrude again. And rotate. And scale it. Something like that. And I want to kind of fix this a little bit so it's maybe scale this in the Y direction, straighten that out a bit. Move this here, scale in the X direction, and move this right there. Could be a little too thick around the top. Gonna move this like this. This here. And I want to make this a little bit more in the middle. There you go. Yeah, I'm gonna go to side view and just gonna move this here. It's good to have this as a reference, and yeah, that will serve as a guide of how big we want this to be, really. Okay, and once that's done, we could hit the tab key, actually go to edge, select the edges here. We could press E to extrude that out and then just move here. Subtle, maybe something like that. A little bit more subtle. Yep, I think that should be good. Okay, and we could go ahead and add edge loop here and edge loop right here. Actually, we're gonna add edge loop later. Let's first mirror this. Okay, that'll be better. And shift, we need to make sure that the move tool is here. So we go to the move tool, you see, we go here. It's not really in the center, so let's select an edge. Shift S, cursor to selected. And then let's go to set origin to 3D cursor. And let's add a mirror, same process. And for the merge, you can set it to 0.1, so that merge exactly in the middle. Okay, great, that's perfect. Then we could go ahead and apply, hit the tab key, and go into edge, double click on an edge here. Let's go and extrude, press E, right click, and then scale. Okay, so I want to kind of keep that there, so we got like a nice edge loop. And after that, we could go ahead and start bridging these. Bridge this edge to that edge, this, and we could select this one, press F, F, O. We gotta do this here, and there you go, bridging those. So that was a lot easier than this one here. And looking at this, okay, a little issue here. Let me see. Starting to move. Okay, so that didn't really well all the way through, so that's okay. We could select all the vertices, and we could press M, merge by distance, and we could increase the distance and then weld this. Alright, yeah, okay, so that's fine. What we could do is select the faces here. We can do another mirror, no problem. Add mirror. And this time, let's go and crank up the merge to a higher value, maybe 1. There you go. And hit apply. Okay, and we could double check. Yep, everything's good there. Alright, great. The next thing that we have to do is to select the edges. Select the edges here, all around the outer edges. And we could go ahead and press E, right click, and then scale. And just gonna move that. Alright, something like that. Probably could make this a little smaller. Okay, so the doesn't have to be exactly the same, but somewhat similar would be good. Okay. Let me see again. Don't want it to be too thick. Probably scale down a bit. And I think, let me see here. Could be scaled up a little bit this way in a Y direction. Alright, so I think that's good. And go and look here. Alright, now I want to mirror this on the other side. So I'm going to select the edge here. Shift S, cursor to selected, and hit the tab key. Set origin to 3D cursor. And then we go here and go to mirror. We gotta adjust the axis so that it's in the Z direction. So now we got it on both sides. Let's crank up the merge. I'm gonna set to 1. Alright, and I'm gonna go click on apply. Great. Hit the tab key. Alright, so we need to flatten this out though. Okay, so what we can do first is just go to edge. You can select the edges here and press X and dissolve edges. And so this one too, dissolve the edges. Great. And maybe we could dissolve the edges for this. Alright, so all we have left are the faces here. And then now we could go to our side view, go to vertex, select the vertices here, and just gonna move this. Alright, so we got something like a flat surface there. And let me just zoom out. And just gonna compare the size this to this. Maybe I could select the vertices here. Make sure it's on the wire. So I'm selecting everything. I could kind of move that up. Okay. Maybe something like that. Now, of course, if we add the subdivision surface, it's going to just melt down the shape. So what we need to do is add some supporting edges. So I'm gonna go ahead and create one right there. One right here, so that will hold the shape together, and right here, and also right here. Okay, great. Okay, now could check out how it looks like. Actually, I want to add another one right here. And another one right here, and right about here, and right here. Okay, I want to see how it looks like with subdivision surface. Alright, so just looking at this side, it's looking good. I'm going to remove the subdivision surface, and Shift Z. Hit Tab key, go to face, and I'm going to just select the faces here, and remove those faces. And now I gotta select the edges, select one of the edges here, Shift S and cursor to selected, and then hit the tab key, set origin to geometry, set origin to 3D cursor, and let's add a mirror. Alright, and I'm gonna set the merge to 0.5. Alright, and just double checking. Okay, good. And I'm gonna go and apply this. And I'm gonna check making sure that everything is connected. Just a few vertices. You don't have to check every single vertex, but just a few of them to make sure that they're actually connected properly. Okay, good. Alright, now I'm gonna go add a subdivision surface. And I'm gonna crank up the level to 2, same as before. Okay. And I'm gonna go hit on apply. Alright, so we got a nice geometry going. We actually need those geometry because if we don't have enough geometry there, guess what? It's not gonna bend properly when we add the bend modifier, okay? Okay, so let's go ahead and add our simple deform, and we set to bend and set to Z. Once again, it's not bending properly. Let's shift A and add an empty plane axis. Okay, let's make sure we start renaming these because we're starting to have too much empty objects. So I'm gonna call this one. It's gonna hard to identify which one is which if you have more than one empty object. I'm gonna call this one empty armor 2. Okay. Right, and then I'm gonna go back, select my geometry, and click here and set to empty armor 2. There you go. And I'm also gonna select my, I'm gonna right click here and shade smooth. That way we got a smoother geometry, and you could adjust the angle as needed. And once again, we need to parent this before we start to have this. What I want to do is I actually want to just go ahead and make a copy of this here. So I'm gonna, because I want to keep these as a reference. All right, so that I know how big my next armor is gonna be, just roughly. So I'm just gonna select this one. We need to parent. We forgot we need to parent this to our geometry first. Let's go to Object, Parent, Object. Okay, and let's go ahead and duplicate this, Shift D, and I'm just gonna move it. I'm gonna move this and rotate this and this way. All right, then kind of rotate here, move this here, gonna zoom in, and we're gonna try to have it fit our character. It's best to move the ring, that way it's a lot more accurate. You can also look in this way and move this here. Yeah, and the good thing about having our bend modifier is we could always go back and adjust the angle if we need to, if it's bent a little too much. And gonna move this, it's gonna be right there. Okay, and good, gonna rotate this that way and move a little bit and move this down, something like that. Could kind of rotate this down, gonna move and push that down. Gonna rotate this, rotate a little bit. You always want to look up and down, make sure everything is good. I'm gonna move this up because we don't want the skin to kind of stick out. Okay, so kind of something like that. And I could scale this up a tad bit. Right, great. So we got that there. And we need to create the other armor that's going to be on top here, which is going to be a bigger version. Yeah, we're going to have a bigger, much bigger armor. This is going to be the biggest part of the armor. And we'll do that in the next video.